What's up, New York? This is Gia Peppers. We are so excited to present the 2017 Voter Guide for the Borough of Manhattan, brought to you by NYC Votes and the New York City Campaign Finance Board. The general election will be held Tuesday, November 7th. Our goal is to empower you, the voter, to make informed choices when you go to the polls. This program gives you the opportunity to see which candidates will make a difference on the issues you care about. We can't always control what happens nationally, but with our vote, we can definitely have a say about what happens in our neighborhoods and in our city. Local elections can determine everything from the quality of our schools to the cost of living. Before you cast a ballot, don't you want to know more about the candidates and how city government can impact your life? In a moment, we are going to introduce the candidates running for Manhattan Borough President. But first, let's find out some of the issues Manhattan residents care about. So tell me why it is so important for you to vote in local elections this year.
Well, not voting means pretty much that if you don't vote, you really don't have a say what's happening in your community. You know, as a resident of Harlem, which I live in District 9, there's a lot of things that are happening in Harlem. So that's one of the really primary reasons why not only do I vote, I volunteer at the polls as well. One of the biggest issues in Harlem is gentrification. Pretty much we're being priced out of our own community. I've lived in Harlem for over 15 years. And it's at a point where you can't afford to live there. I mean, they're pretty much pushing you out. And if you're on a fixed income, like most of our seniors are, who are in rent stabilization or rent control, they're buying them out, and at very small percentages. I mean, some people may think $10,000 is a lot of money, which is not. And a lot of landlords are giving them money, and they get the $10,000, and then let's say 6 months later, they become homeless. You know, and that's huge. So I would like the local elections and the politicians that I vote for in my community to have a say at the table when it comes to developers coming into my neighborhood that I can't afford an apartment that's going for $1.5 million.
So I actually can't vote because I'm 17, but I am pre-registered. And, you know, I would be voting because it's so important to vote because there's a much greater number of people that care about politics and these issues than there are people that are actually allowed to do something about it. So if you have that power, you really got to be out and voting. Yeah, even if I put in all this work and this money and this time to get a degree, I want to make sure I'm able to get a job when I come back home. You know, if I have a degree but all I can do is the same things that I could do before I got the degree, then was it really worth it? There have to be more jobs in this city.
Well, with young New Yorkers like you, we are in good hands. Thank you so much. Voting is one of the most important ways we can embrace the opportunity to participate and show we care about our city's future. So make sure you vote for the candidate who best represents your interests and concerns. The borough president is the chief executive and advocate of each borough, making recommendations on budget priorities and capital projects, also reviewing land use decisions. Here are some of the candidates running for Manhattan Borough President.
I'm Gail Brewer, and I'm proud of the record I've built as borough president. The city charter finds a borough president's central role in land use decisions and distribution of city capital funds. I've expanded the office's land use staff to exhaustively research every new development proposal and call for more affordable housing. I've directed over $131 million in capital funding to projects ranging from new school science labs and internet infrastructure to improving parks and cultural institutions. And we've allocated even more funds for the operation of our many nonprofit organizations. I've conducted extraordinary outreach to inform Manhattanites on issues ranging from arts education and small business preservation to nutritious food and age-friendly policies. I've opened the first storefront office ever for a borough president, and it's in Harlem. And my staff has helped solve thousands of constituent problems. Still, there's more to do. We must improve the ability of schools to teach computer science and prepare students for digital jobs, make faster improvements to public transit to serve record-high ridership, and help and encourage small businesses. Thank you, and be sure to vote.
Hello, I'm Brian Waddell, Libertarian and Reform Party candidate for Manhattan Borough President. I want to help you cut $20 million from the city budget without adversely affecting a single program that you, as a taxpayer, have asked for. Join me in repealing the borough presidency citywide and replacing that with a decentralized system that gives you a greater voice in important granting and land use decisions. My plan calls for a more efficient city government where your input means much more thanks to removing the top-down approach of the borough presidency. My plan does not hurt a single New Yorker, except maybe those career politicians looking for an easy paycheck while they wait their turn for higher office. A vote for me in November is a vote for yourself. It's a vote to make city government work for you. It's a vote to end wasteful spending of your hard-earned dollars. It's a vote for common sense reform that won't hurt any of your less fortunate neighbors and will allow you to advocate for them even more. So please, go to votewaddell.com, that's 2 Ds and 2 Ls, and allow me to earn your vote.
Participating in local elections makes a difference in our everyday lives. From jobs to schools to housing, your city council member can have a big impact on these issues. The city council is the legislative branch of New York City's government, responsible for passing local laws, making decisions about land use, investigating and overseeing city agencies, and approving the city's budget. Let's meet the candidates for Manhattan City Council.
Hi, I'm Councilmember Margaret Chin. I have the honor of representing New York's 1st Council District, where I have lived for more than 50 years. As your local representative, I am proud of my progressive track record of fighting for you in the City Council. I passed legislation to increase fines for tenant harassment and sponsored legislation to end the practice of harassment of tenants by construction. I facilitated the creation of hundreds of units of affordable, low-income, and senior housing in Lower Manhattan and successfully negotiated to keep 800 units of housing affordable in the Village and the Lower East Side. As the first Asian American woman elected to the City Council, I expanded paid sick leave, and I successfully fought to convince school to finally recognize Asian Lunar New Year as an official school holiday. Lastly, I'm happy to announce that I was able to help secure a location to build a new school in the financial district to help alleviate overcrowded schools. But we have more work to do. With over 200,000 seniors waiting for affordable housing, we must continue to build more. I will continue to fight overzealous developers who threaten the very existence of our neighborhoods, and I will pledge to never give up until we take back Rivington House. I have a proven track record of fighting for you. I don't just make promises, I get things done. I am Councilmember Margaret Chin, and with your support, we can continue making District 1 a community for all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aaron FOLDENAUER. I am a litigator and practiced at some of the leading law firms here in New York City for over a decade. For years, I have advocated for the most vulnerable among us and have conducted significant pro bono legal work in the community and for a number of low-income artists. As your next City Council member, I will restrict overdevelopment and protect our parks and neighborhoods from the artificial distortions of the real estate market. Furthermore, I will protect our small businesses from being displaced and prevent the suburbanization of our historic neighborhoods caused by the proliferation of chain retail outlets. I will also block irresponsible deals, like the current administration's tragic sale of the historic Rivington House nursing home to real estate developers. Protecting the environment at the local level is a key priority. I will plant hundreds of additional trees, convert vacant lots into urban farms, and install compost bins in restaurants, office towers, and residential buildings to reduce the mountains of food waste sent to landfills from New York City. On my first day in office, I will call for a top-to-bottom audit of the New York City Housing Authority to bring real reform to the dilapidated buildings that house our most vulnerable residents. We also must build additional schools to resolve the chronic shortage of school seats in Lower Manhattan. My name is Aaron FOLDENAUER, and I hope to earn your vote.
Hi, I'm Christopher MARTE, and I'm running for City Council as a Democrat in District 1. I was born and raised in the Lower East Side, where my parents immigrated from the Dominican Republic. My dad was a bodega owner, and my mom was a sweatshop worker. When I wasn't stacking up cans, I attended the local public school, where I was given the opportunities that shaped me into the person I am today. For college, I was fortunate enough to travel the world and study in China, England, and Latin America. I have experience in the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors, working at an immigration law firm, managing a retirement fund, and helping previously incarcerated individuals start their own small business. I am running because I have a track record in community engagement and standing up for transparency. I have fought for tenants' rights. I have organized with residents against big box retail. I have started 2 community gardens in Nitro residency, and I have mobilized my community to help release a neighbor that was illegally detained by ICE. I will bring that same level of involvement, energy, and understanding to the City Council, where I will host the first town hall meeting in 8 years. I will fight for the rights and safety of working families and allow the voices of the people in my district to shape my policy. Your support on September 12th will go to someone who has an experience in budgeting, long-term planning, and advocacy, who will be ready from day one to represent the people of District 1. If you have any further questions about my platform, please visit MARTENYC.com.
My wife and I have been residents of Manhattan's District 2 for 25 years. I am a registered dietitian by training and have spent the past 20 years working with cancer patients in both hospital and private practice settings. I chose the healthcare career path because I've always wanted to help others and would now like to turn the energy and drive that fueled my passion for health and well-being to the field of public service. I believe I can bring a fresh perspective to local issues from a libertarian standpoint, foremost among them being less government in every aspect of our lives and more freedom for individuals to pursue the employment opportunities, small business creations, and lifestyle choices they hold dear. Let's ease the regulatory burden on small businesses so that instead of shelling out money for fees and fines to the city, they can direct that money to provide better products and services to consumers. Let's also fix a warped tax code system whereby commercial landlords can double or triple a tenant's rent and then leave the space empty for months or years, harming our neighborhoods by creating a visual landscape of economic uncertainty. One of the best things I love about New York City is its diversity. But if 48 out of 51 council members are Democrats espousing big government initiatives like more taxing, spending, licensing, and regulating, how can that fit into this wonderfully diverse human narrative that is New York? I will inject a new vision with a less is more approach to government so individuals can pursue their professional and personal dreams without continual government meddling. Thank you.
I'm Jimmy McMillan, and I represent the Renters Too Damn High Party. The housing situation in this city is a nightmare for residents, white, black, Latinos, and people of color, and those of diverse gender orientation. I will fight for fair wages, I will fight for affordable housing, and for residents of District 2. We should take care of those in need. We must train or use the skills for workers and for college and high school graduates. Everyone must be engaged or encouraged to play a role in the business of the city building. and must and be able and be made to be a part of our progress. I will fight to stop the wanton discrimination in New York City housing against white, black, Latinos, and the LGBT community. The cost of housing is inflated by high levels of bureaucracy, fraud, and greed. We need to set up investigative agencies to the bribery and the greed for developers in New York City. We must make affordable housing available to all New Yorkers and residents.
My name is CARLINA Rivera, and I'm a Democrat running for City Council in District 2, which includes the great neighborhoods of Murray Hill, Flatiron, East Village and the Lower East Side, where I was born and raised, Kips Bay, where my mother lives, and Gramercy, where my husband owns a small business. I am running for City Council for the seat currently held by Rosie Mendez. Rosie cannot run again for re-election, but is strongly supporting me. I have worked for her as legislative director to tirelessly fight for the place I have called home my entire life. We have a lot of work to do to create a more equitable city, especially for those who are struggling financially. I know the power that our communities have when we are united, and I have the experience to make that power work for us, fighting for affordable housing, protecting small businesses and creating jobs, keeping our parks and gardens accessible and clean, expanding funding for schools, keeping our streets safe, and getting seniors the support they need. I remember the first time I saw the power of activism. Living in subsidized housing in the Lower East Side, our whole building was threatened. We all could have lost our homes. But our tenant association president got all the information, pulled everyone together, and fought back. When we won, it made me realize that regular people like me could win against powerful interests if we have the facts, stand united, and demand our fair share. So my whole life, I've worked to give people that power. On my community board, as a district leader, and as director of programs and services at good old Lower East Side, I was able to help seniors, veterans, children, families, immigrants, the disabled, and victims of Hurricane Sandy and the 2nd Avenue explosion get access to services they needed. I am so proud to have the support of hundreds of community leaders, advocacy groups, labor, and everyday working families. I'm CARLINA Rivera. I grew up in our district. I'm proud of this community. I'm thankful to have had a career serving my neighbors. And as your next councilwoman, I'll keep fighting for this place we call home.
Hello, my name is JASMIN Sanchez, and I am running for the New York City Council representing District 2, which includes the East Village, Gramercy Park, Kips Bay, Murray Hill, Rose Hill, and the Lower East Side. After 24 years of service to the district in several capacities, such as the founder of a volunteer-based nonprofit, a softball coach, a community activist, and a community liaison for State Senator Daniel Squadron, I have established a position that this district has been sold off. I am boldly making a statement that I am for we the people, not partisanship, corporations, or special interests. For too long, constituents have felt abandoned by their elected officials. Our district has seen the same leadership for over 20 years without change. In 2017, we must say never again. I am not an establishment candidate, which means I am not owned by anyone or owe anyone. I am the people's candidate, which means that you will always receive transparency, open communication, and a seat at the table. I will never make deals that would jeopardize District 2. I serve you and will ensure that all of my efforts are to enhance our district and every constituent. From Water Street to 35th Street, this is my neighborhood. District 2 is home to the world's most innovative and hardworking people, yet we're crushed by murder in the streets, substandard schools, dilapidated housing, mismanagement of NYCHA, mom-and-pop shops disappearing, homelessness, lack of low-income housing, lack of open spaces, and failing youth and senior programs. We do not have to march, rally, or protest every time we feel our rights are being threatened. We, the people, have the power to elect politicians that will advocate on our behalf. It is their job to serve, aid, and protect us, to strengthen our families and communities, to listen and keep our best interests in mind. That is why, on September 12th, let your voices be heard and vote for JASMIN Sanchez to represent District 2. Thank you.
I am running because ordinary citizens need to run for public office. My name is Marni HALASA, and as a figure skating coach, I am an ordinary citizen. And I believe no matter what your profession, regular folks need to be part of the political process. We need to shape the world we live in. So even if you don't have political experience, if you're passionate about your community, have a keen sense of ethics, and want to improve the lives of others, get involved and run for office. And for that reason, the election law must be reformed, allowing an easier path for ordinary people to get on the ballot. I am also excited about universal basic income, a policy gaining popularity because of the high success rates in pilot programs in Canada, Finland, and across the nation. With the cost of living increasing to nearly unsustainable levels, a government-issued stipend of $2,500 each month would not only eradicate poverty and homelessness, but would help middle-class New Yorkers make ends meet. It's time to come up with unique ideas that can transform our lives into a healthier, happier, and more self-sufficient design. Basic income can do that. Another issue I see on a daily basis as a resident of Clinton is how gentrification displaces local residents and destroys the character of our city neighborhoods. I personally know people in my building who have had to leave their homes because of higher rents, and it was heartbreaking. I advocate for more affordable housing and less tax breaks to profit-focused developers, as well as rolling back the rents for rent-stabilized units. Again, if ordinary citizens were in positions of power, they could determine the lay of the land and create policies that support the middle class. And lastly, we need to protect the right to vote. The 125,000 New Yorkers that were knocked off the voter rolls in Brooklyn in the last primary election shows we need to demand election integrity that has real transparency.
Hi, my name is Corey Johnson. I represent District 3 in the City Council, and I'm asking for your vote. I don't want to sound cheesy, but I can truly say that serving as your council member has been the honor and privilege of my life. I'm really proud of what my team and I have been able to accomplish. We've been able to win new public open space for the community, new affordable housing, park and playground upgrades, transportation and pedestrian improvements, and resources for our seniors and children. Down at City Hall, I'm proud that I've passed more legislation than nearly any other member of the City Council over the past 3.5 years. I've passed legislation that allows transgender New Yorkers to more easily correct the gender on their birth certificates. I passed legislation that will help put an end to the school-to-prison pipeline by requiring the Department of Education to report on the use of disciplinary measures in public schools. As chair of the Committee on Health, I work closely with the de Blasio administration to win tens of millions of dollars of new funding for HIV and AIDS prevention and treatment. Last year, we saw a real decrease in the number of new infections. In spite of these victories, our community is going through difficult times. We have seen rents spiraling up and up. Our neighborhoods have been transformed in recent years, and we're struggling desperately to retain their character and spirit. Our neighborhood small businesses and affordable supermarkets are closing at an alarming rate. And we're also facing an attack on our values and our way of life from Washington, D.C. Now more than ever, I think it's critical for New Yorkers to stand shoulder to shoulder with immigrants, asylum seekers, Muslims, women, transgender Americans, the poor and the working class, and others who have been targeted and marginalized. We can and will win this fight and protect our New York values and the character of our neighborhoods. I'm asking for your vote on September 12th so I can keep up this fight. Thank you very much.
I learned at an early age that when you're given a responsibility of taking care of others, failure is not an option. That's how I live my life on a personal and professional level, using common sense, not taking no for an answer, and the courage to take a stand when something is wrong are qualities people have come to expect from me. After graduating college, I opened a small business. I created jobs and learned what it meant to make a payroll. Now, every day, I see another small business close its doors. I believe the commercial rent tax on businesses should be repealed. 15 years ago, I saw firsthand the sudden rise in autism and quickly realized that a school was needed. Imagine Academy is now a school that's a model school. I opened 3 other organizations, a high school for students with mild learning challenges, a community center, and Propel Network for Women. Propel's mission is to train women who do not have marketable job skills by paying for vocational training. In just 2 years, Propel has already graduated and found jobs for so many women. Catch a person a fish, you fed him dinner. Teach a person to fish, you fed him for life. That's the guiding principle for Propel Network, and I believe it should be the foundation for helping our able-bodied homeless population off the streets and into jobs. De Blasio has handed people a stale fish and told them to eat it. We need a change and give people the tools to take care of themselves. In my years as an activist and problem solver, I never overlooked my responsibilities as a mother of 6 and a wife of 34 years. My family's safety and quality of life are crucial. It's for that reason I became an NYPD liaison. I know how tough it is for New York City's finest to keep our streets safe. I plan to push for a stronger budget for our first responders when I become councilwoman. You know, it's not about which party a candidate belongs to. I believe it's about common sense, competence, and confidence. We can all get behind improving our quality of life, education, homelessness, small businesses, and safety. Let's do this together.
Hello, my name is Rachel Honig, and I am asking for your support that I may serve you as your next City Council member representing District 4. You deserve a representative that will truly represent your viewpoints and your ideals. I am that citizen candidate running on a platform to bring pragmatism and transparency to City Hall. We don't need more lobbyists or insiders. We need to end the cycle of pay-for-play that has pervaded City Hall and Albany for so long. We need real people to create the real solutions that we need right now to move this city into the next century and beyond. As the advocate for our district, I will work tirelessly to ensure that we help fill the empty storefronts and that we stop losing our small businesses, that we swiftly address the rising homeless numbers, and that we rapidly abate the lead in the water in our public schools. I will champion quality of life initiatives such as the East Side Waterway and protection of our green spaces, and I will advocate for continued support of the arts. I will partner with our federal and state representatives to continue the funding for the 2nd Avenue subway, but this time the construction will not be at the expense of our small businesses. I will advocate for affordable housing initiatives and solutions that keep people in their homes and keep our neighborhoods stable. I bring to this role 23 years of living in this great city, most of it on the East Side. I also bring forth both public and private sector experience that I believe will provide the basis for the pragmatic and creative solutions that this city needs. As the council member for New York City's 4th District, I will be a fiercely independent voice on the council, challenging the mayor and my colleagues each and every day to make New York City the very best it can be. I love this city and this district, and I know you do too. I hope you'll vote for me, Rachel Honig, on Tuesday, September 12th. For more information about my campaign, please visit my website at www.honigfornewyork.com. Thank you, and I'll see you at the polls.
Hi, I'm Keith Powers, and I'm running for City Council. I'm a lifelong East Sider and a 3rd-generation resident of Stuyvesant Town and Peter Cooper Village, where I grew up in a rent-stabilized apartment with my parents, a nurse and a small business owner. From working in our neighborhoods and in government, I have new ideas, lots of them, to keep New York a place where the middle class can raise a family. We have to fight to save middle-class housing. That's why I propose a 21st century MCMILLAN program addressing homelessness by investing in a Marshall Plan for public housing and giving communities the tools they need to better participate in the city planning process. I know that education is the pathway to opportunity. That's why I want to connect every high school to high-growth industries for after-school and summer internships, evaluate teachers based on what happens in the classroom, not on a standardized test, and I think we should end discriminatory policies that segregate too many of our schools in the city. We also need innovative solutions to keep New York City the greatest in the world, like a People's Way to provide traffic-free options during the L train shutdown, shop local initiatives, and new incentives to save our neighborhood stores, and expanding ID.NYC into a debit card that New Yorkers can use free from predatory bank fees. Finally, we need to reform our government to make it work better, like getting political pork out of the city budget, lowering campaign contribution limits to take big money out of local politics, and fixing the Board of Elections by appointing commissioners based on qualifications, not political connections. You can read all of our campaign's ideas at keithpowers.nyc/new ideas, and don't hesitate to share your own. I'm asking for your vote because together we can put our ideas to work to make our city stronger.
Hello, I'm New York City Council member Ben KALLOS. I grew up in the neighborhood with my grandparents who fled anti-Semitism in Europe and my mother who still lives here. Since being endorsed by the New York Times for my fresh ideas and elected in 2013, I focused on working with residents like you on education, transportation, parks, affordable housing, and reforming our government. We've accomplished so much, and I need your vote so we can do so much more. As a graduate of Bronx Science, I believe in giving every child a world-class education, starting with pre-K for all, where I've won 400 seats for our neighborhood. I've also invested $5 million in STEM education and green roofs for our public schools. To improve your commute, we opened the 2nd Avenue subway with Governor Cuomo, one select bus service for the M79 and M86, and 179 new buses for the M15. Ferry service will open on Roosevelt Island this summer and the Upper East Side next year. As co-chair of the East River Esplanade Task Force with Congressmember Maloney, I've opened new park space and secured $150 million. We're fighting over development and super tall buildings in residential neighborhoods with a plan for affordable housing, and we've even won 2 rent freezes for rent-stabilized tenants. I campaigned on good government and wrote the laws that prohibited outside income for council members, eliminated legal bribery, and I investigated the Rivington nursing home scandal. I'm cleaning up the neighborhood with 300 new trash cans, and we continue our fight against the Marine Transfer Station having exposed high costs, moved the ramp, and limited use to only 1/3 of capacity to keep 300 trucks off our roads. Let's dump the dump. I promised an open office, and I hope you'll join me monthly for First Friday, or gather 10 neighbors for Ben in your building.
The privatization of public lands and buildings permanently diminishes our quality of life. We deserve a responsible city government that clearly articulates not just the interim benefits, but also the long-term negative impacts of moving our public assets into private hands. When we lose usable and vibrant public space like parks, our neighborhoods become less usable and vibrant themselves. I would like to ask you, what kind of neighborhood do you want to live in? I would like to live in a neighborhood where ultra-luxury development is brought into clear balance with overall contextual quality of our neighborhood, street to street and block to block. Here on the Upper West Side, our quality of life is our legacy, and it is being sold to the highest bidder. Some of the worst actors in the real estate business are trying to bring super tall mega towers to our neighborhood, and someday maybe even your block. If we don't stand up and stand together, we will have out of scale and out of proportion buildings that not only take away sunlight from our parks, but burden our infrastructure, as well as our neighborhood with traffic and congestion. I propose to take on the lengthy process of zoning reform with the strongest of leadership. We have a very small window of community activism and awareness where we have a real shot at getting the out-of-date zoning laws to comport with the spirit in which they were written. Stand with me and stand up for your quality of life. My name is Big Bill ROUDENBUSH, and I'm running for City Council District 6 to represent your interests, and your interests only, on the Upper West Side.
Hi, I'm Helen Rosenthal. When you elected me to the City Council, I promised to focus on things that would make a difference. It's a promise I've kept. As reported by the Daily News, I helped save the city over $600 million by compelling the Department of Education to rebid a wasteful $1.1 billion contract awarded to a single bidder. The final awards went to over a dozen companies, many owned by women and minorities. Because separate is never equal, I supported parent leaders who, like me, heard from the community, parents, residents, and educators, and voted 9-1 to adopt the first public school integration plan on the Upper West Side in 50 years, relieving overcrowding and concentrated poverty. The plan was endorsed by the New York Times. And my office ranked top 5 in constituent cases handled, helping those people stay in their homes and standing up to high-rise developers. I'm asking for your vote to keep me in the city council, to keep doing things like this. But there's another issue in this race, and that involves women's voices and the value of women's work. Women make up more than half of city voters, but only 1/4 of the council members. With retirements, those numbers may fall to 1 in 5. On the Upper West Side, we pride ourselves on being progressive, but a city council where 10 members are women isn't progressive. It doesn't reflect the contributions and abilities women bring to this city. Let our voices be heard, and I'm here to listen. I hope you'll join GALE BREWER, the National Organization for Women Tenants PAC, and the Sierra Club in supporting me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm New York City Council member Mark Levine, and for the past 4 years, I've had the privilege of serving New York City's 7th Council District. Since taking office, I've fought to make New York a more fair and more equitable city for all, from passing historic legislation to guarantee that every tenant facing eviction has an attorney, to fighting for great parks in every neighborhood across the 5 boroughs. I've worked hard to get results for the communities and people who need it most. I'm especially proud of the work I've done right here in Upper Manhattan. As your council member, I've secured tens of millions of dollars in funding to improve our schools, libraries, parks, and NYCHA communities. And by working together, we accomplished great things, such as establishing the Morningside Heights Historic District, clearing the way to extend the 125th Street bus lane, and so much more. I've worked hard to deliver real results for our neighborhoods, and I would be honored to continue serving as your council member. Muchísimas gracias y hasta pronto.
Wealth and industry concentrated here make New York a great city. But so do our natural resources, and especially the foresight and goodwill of our citizens and officials. And the verdant countryside surrounding our city affords the best possible setting for prosperity. The planning for the city's growth has provided us with phenomenal infrastructure. This is the inheritance of all New Yorkers, willed to us by the imaginative, industrious, and generous citizens who were our predecessors. Let's maintain our inheritance. Community policing empowers us with a sense of connection and responsibility, and partners our hardworking law enforcement community with us all in the common struggle for progress. By cooperating in a conscious effort to protect and manage our resources, legal, natural, man-made, we join our forebears and protect our children. It's our solemn responsibility to join together as a community, well aware of our wealth in our common inheritance from those who have gone before us. With this in mind, let us cooperate in a conscious effort to make a great future for New York.
My name is DIANNE, AYALA, a Democrat running for City Council. For almost 2 decades, I have been in public service in East Harlem and the South Bronx. Against steep odds, I have been fortunate enough to fight for my community and deliver for my neighbors. I migrated to New York City at a young age from Puerto Rico. I grew up in public housing and spent time in the shelter system. When I was 15, the father of my son was shot and killed in a senseless shooting. I received my degree from Bronx Community College. I worked as a senior center director in East Harlem for 7 years before joining the staff of Councilmember Melissa Mark Viverito. In the council office, I've helped expand tenants' rights and crack down on the sale of synthetic marijuana. I've worked with members of the community to tackle homelessness, increase school funding, and tackle gun violence. My life experiences and my passion for helping others is why I will be a tireless advocate for you in the City Council. I may not be a career politician, but I have the toughness and the energy to take on wealthy landlords or to stand up to Trump extremism. I am so proud to have been endorsed by the New York City Council Speaker and the Working Families Party, Congressmember Adriano Espaillat, Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., and many more, because I will stand up for us in the City Council.
My name is Pierre Gooding, and I'm running for City Council in District 9 Harlem, where I was born. I'm running because the same zone school in my neighborhood that was underperforming in the 80s is still woefully below standards. I am running because our classroom at IS 143 did not have an air conditioner, and our advocacy led to the allocation of $28 million so that children across the city could learn in a decent environment. We believe in leadership through action, which is why I sent a state senator who was defrauding the public straight to jail. It is also the reason why we believe our candidacy is right for Harlem. There is so much opportunity to create positive change in our community, from urban agriculture to technology, and even ensuring that we allocate our public discretionary funds in a transparent manner. But nothing will change unless we convince you to go to the polls on September 12th. So here are some key facts. District 9 had the lowest voter turnout on record for a special election in February, and we do not think that that process embodied the will of our community. We need strong leadership in Harlem to address some of the persistent macro-level and day-to-day challenges in our neighborhood. Each and every one of you will have the opportunity to have your voice heard this time around. And I implore you to take that opportunity. It is only through collective action that we will cure the ills of a failing school system, a lack of job opportunities for our residents, and the lack of access to affordable housing. Please come out and vote on September 12th and follow us at www.goodingforharlem.com. Thank you, and let's do the work to put Harlem first.
Greetings. I am Dr. TYSON-LORD Gray, and I'm a candidate for City Council here in Harlem, New York. Presently, Harlem is #1 in Manhattan for food insecurity. We have the highest number of rodents per 1,000 persons, and according to recent data by the Association for Neighborhood and Housing Development, we have experienced a 90% increase in rent over the past decade. Unfortunately, previous politicians have failed us in passing necessary policies and following through on campaign promises. But we know that Harlem is better than the statistics suggest, and that we are far from blind to political moves that have been fueled by personal motives. So this election, let's vote for change. We need a new candidate with new energy and new ideas. My platform is simple: affordable housing, because Harlem residents are being pushed out and priced out; better schools, because no child should lack access to quality education; and a cleaner and healthier community, because we understand the psychological as well as public health concerns connected to poor nutrition and unsanitary conditions. Join me to make Harlem better and stronger for those that currently live here and for generations to come. My name is TYSON-LORD Gray. I am a candidate for City Council here in Harlem, New York, and I need your vote September 12th. Let's do something.
Greetings and peace to the people of City Council District 9. I am DIANNE MACK, and I am seeking your vote to elect me as your representative. As you are aware, this year has been full of changes and challenges, ones that have inspired me, maybe you, and many others to become more active or involved in community affairs, school boards, or local politics. I volunteer and work in East, West, and Central Harlem, serving children, youth, adults, and families. As a professional social worker, I shape policies, administer programs, and help people solve problems, overcome adversities, and live well. As a lifelong resident, I know that it is time that you have a representative that cares about all of the people in Harlem, one that is committed to ensuring that we have the resources and opportunities that improve the educational experiences and quality of life of our children, youth, adults, parents, and seniors. A representative dedicated to preserving the uniqueness, heart, and soul of Harlem neighborhoods. One that fosters partner relationships among business and homeowners, faith or academic institutions, and community-based organizations to ensure continued ownership, growth, and services. A representative that is committed to building partner relationships that allow us to have affordable housing, increase access to recreational and employment opportunities, to remain in our community and enhance the quality of our lives. I am counting on you to join me in the fight to live our best lives in this City Council district, now and in the future. Vote for me in the primary so you can vote for me in the general election. Together, we can improve our future.
Thank you for the privilege of representing you in the New York City Council.
So much of what we have fought for and care about are under attack by President Donald Trump in Washington. That means what we do here locally is more important than ever. I know that we can stand up to the Trump attacks and move forward on what matters here in our community, because that's what we've done together. We stood up to the same Donald Trump years ago when he took out full-page ads calling for the death penalty for 5 Harlem teenagers known as the Central Park Five. And after years of persistent fighting, unjust incarceration, they were found innocent. We stood up to the big landlords and passed the Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Act, forcing them to remove hazardous lead paint that was crippling our children. We stood up to the Wall Street bankers trying to privatize our public schools and fought to make sure that every child has a chance to succeed. And we stood fighting together for affordable health care and to get rats off our streets and out of our homes. I ask you to join with me in this campaign to blaze a new trail forward to provide every child the opportunity for a quality education, to make sure the people living in our community can afford to stay in our community, and to continue to be a loud voice for equality, fairness, and justice. And as you see me on our buses, subways, and streets, please continue sharing your ideas, criticisms, and letting me know what the community needs and what I can do better. Together, we can fight against Trumpism and hatred and for fairness, and the progress we know is right. I'm Bill Perkins, and I ask for your vote on September 12th. Again, thank you.
Hi, my name is Idanis Rodriguez, and I'm the council member for Washington Heights, Inwood, and Marble Hill. Over the past 8 years, I have represented District 10 with honesty, dignity, and transparency. I have spent this year working tirelessly to bring about meaningful change for my community and the people of New York. With your support, I hope to continue working to make New York City a city for all. Over my 40 years of activism, I have fought to improve education for newly arrived students unfamiliar with the language. I have stood up against police brutality, led a student movement to fight tuition increase, and funded 2 schools in Northern Manhattan. All this work drove me to seek office and work to make a bigger change for all New Yorkers. I'm proud to say that alongside my colleagues, we've accomplished a lot, from protecting the rights of immigrants, women, members of the LGBT community, workers, and more, to ending the use of stop and frisk, to providing all New Yorkers with paid sick leave, to improving transportation by making our streets safer for pedestrians and cyclists. I work hard to make the lives of all New Yorkers better. Now more than ever, it is important to have experienced leaders with an understanding of how to resist and push back against policies that seek to divide and harm our residents. It means trusting in leadership that has a proven track record of winning tough battles. I'm proud to say that this is the work I've been doing my whole life. I believe every person has a right to an education, health care, housing, and livable wage, and these are principles that guide my work. Fighting for social justice is my lifelong passion, and I promise you that with your support, I will continue working to build a New York City full of opportunities for all. Thank you.
Voting in local elections is how we can all make a difference on the issues that matter to our community, and it helps us make this city a better place to live and work. I'm proud to be a New Yorker, aren't you? Manhattan, your vote makes a difference. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to vote in the general election on November 7th. NYC Votes is the voter engagement initiative of the NYC Campaign Finance Board. The Voter Guide is a nonpartisan resource produced by the CFB that provides New York City voters with information about candidates for local office. If you are a registered voter, you will receive the guide in the mail, and you can find it online at voting.nyc. All candidates for mayor, public advocate, comptroller, borough president, and city council were given the opportunity to record statements for this video guide. Candidates who chose not to record a statement will be listed on screen. In a few instances, candidates who appear here may have been removed from the ballot. You can check VOTING.NYC anytime for the latest up-to-date information. The candidate statements are their own, and all candidates have affirmed that their statements are true to the best of their knowledge. The CFB does not endorse any candidate for public office, and the views expressed in these candidate statements do not represent those of the CFB.